Hi, everybody. It's Kevin and Kristen back for another exciting episode of the Lab Services and Point of Care Testing Show. Today, we're talking about something actually pretty fun. What do people already pay for? And so the reason to be able to tune into this one and listen is when we're talking about point of care testing or really any services being offered, a lot of times the one thing that we want to do is analyze the market and the purchasing habits of those folks that are out there and coming into our locations already, or thinking about health in a way that is money coming out of their pocket, as opposed to insurance paid for services. So we're going to dive into a little of that and have a little fun along the way. We'll talk to you in a second. All right, Kristen. So what we are talking about today is something that I am always checking the checkbooks on, because I know that Savannah just went to Hobby Lobby and she's fantastic. She is very frugal with spending. But Savannah, if there are decorations that she wants, like that is the one thing that she will get. She's all about like the seasonal decor. What are other things like in your guys' family? Do you have stuff that you guys you're spending stuff on? And then please mention POCT Talk before you jump in.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I am the host of POCT Talk, which is on the Pharmacy Podcast Network. So make sure you check those episodes out. Those come out regularly and always filled with good information, like our shows here are, Kevin.
Oh.
But yeah, I don't know. You put me on the spot. I too like some home decor. I'm a big fan of Stitch Fix, the clothing box, because so my experience with Stitch Fix is that once I got several boxes and like they knew my sizes and my style, and I started to actually make purchases, it like tailored the boxes and what I was receiving even more to meet my particular needs. And it's really cool because you can actually say, tell them you have events coming up.
Yep.
Like I'm going to a wedding and I need a dress. I don't know. Or it's, about to be spring and I need a raincoat. And they'll send you what you're asking for. And so then I end up spending more money because the boxes that they're sending me, spot on. So to the point.
Savannah, please don't watch this episode.
And my husband loves tools. Oh my gosh, he loves tools. But the thing is whenever we find value, when we find value in something and we have good customer service, because that's what I feel Stitch Fix is. That's great customer service. Like they're tailoring everything that I'm purchasing to fit my needs. And so how do we do that in the pharmacy space? Whether you're a consultant pharmacist, you own a pharmacy, you're working for a hospital, like who knows, whatever, ambulatory care, whatever it is, how can we turn our services into things that people they're wanting to pay for?
Yep.
Yes, you can still bill insurance, but come on, let's be real. Cash payments are so much easier, and people are already spending their money, Kevin, aren't they?
Well, I mean, they are, and you made a really important point there, Kristen, is when I think of like service delivery, I had a CEO in one of the hospitals I was working at that he would, during our executive meetings, would always bring this up. He would say, the goal is to delight our patients. And I always thought that's such an interesting customer service, like kind of delivery package, but it was like, you want them to be like, even though they're in the hospital, they're not feeling great. Their families, they're hopefully supporting them. You want every family member to think this is the best place in the world to be. You want them to be able to buy something in your gift shop, to be able to enjoy the coffee that you're making for them, to be able to say, I had exceptional care for my family member, so that the referral cycle was right back in, for us to loop. And when it comes to people spending, they can either spend it with you or they can spend it somewhere else. And so I think that's the key there with, some of your examples you bring up. And for me, I have one for you, Kristen. There's like international like snack boxes. We're just going to share all of our secrets, Kristen and I here, but I'm a food fan, right? And so trying new foods is always great. These like little snack boxes, they have like food from throughout the world, and they have kind of a description of like what the foods are and whatnot. They were super cheap and they were good for a Christmas present, but it is great, Kristen. Like you just open them up and you're excited about what's going to be in there. Like what could I try today? I think one of them was like egg flavored chips. Not my favorite, but, but otherwise some good stuff. And
Mhm.
so I think that's the other piece is variety. Like you were talking about with Stitch and Savannah and Hobby Lobby, and me talking about these snack boxes, your husband with tools, just in general, like as humans, like we love encountering new and exciting things. And so what are some new and exciting things that you've seen in our space, Kristen, for us to know people are paying for and to connect dots for us?
Yeah, definitely. So we already touched on the value and the importance of customer service, and making our customer feel loved and cared for, because they're going to come back to those places. But also, like you're saying, let's now talk about the things that people are already paying for, that they're willing to pay out, they're willing to dig into their own pocket and pay money for. So the 5 things I want to mention today are, like, let's think about this: medical marijuana or CBD products.
Yep.
People are paying for those. The market wouldn't be what it is if they weren't.
Yep.
Weight loss industry is enormous. Hormones, Botox, and quality supplements. Those are all things that people pay for. And of course, you're going to get pushback on things at some point. There is a person in every one of those markets that says, this is too expensive, I'm not buying this.
Sure.
But you have to have a percentage of people that's doing that. I want to say in business, they say about 20% of people should say your product is too expensive. Otherwise, it's not marked high enough. So don't quote me on that percentage, but it's
Well,
close.
it sounds good. It sounds good. Yeah.
So, you might not be able to be selling some of these things, but how do we take the services that we're already providing, maybe link up or do something parallel to them?
Yep.
And I just feel like it really kind of goes back to a money mindset thing. Is, the way I look at $20,
Yep.
you probably don't look at $20. And that person
Sure.
in front of me probably looks at $20 in a different way as well. So we need to set our own opinions and thoughts and views and experiences about money on the back burner while we have our business hats on and we're selling our products. Because seriously, I mean, and how you talk about something is huge.
Yeah, I mean, because $20 to me, Kristen, like it varies. Like $20, like spending it for someone to do what, like I have grandfathers that like built homes with their bare hands kind of guys. So I always think like, would my papa roll over in his grave if I paid for this? And so like paying for any like work around the house, like Kevin's going to get dirty, he's going to screw it up, and he's going to figure out how to do it himself kind of deal. Paying for food, going out for a meal with family, let's do it. Like that'd be great. Like it's all about the experience, the fun, being together and doing something that's memorable. So it's interesting that you talked about the money mindset and not having to target everyone in your entire audience. I feel like we can get really bogged down on like, what will everyone buy? Nothing. Like there's not a lot of things that everyone wants to buy, like in the entire marketplace. And so now we're able just to really focus in on, like you said, that 80%, if we can look at 80%, 60 to 80% of our clientele that would go, this is interesting, great. The thing that I want us to be able to just kind of touch on is, how do we position it though, Kristen, that mindset shifts from, I don't want to pay a penny for my copay. I mean, we all know that. Like someone comes to the counter, they've got a copay. Usually it's like, oh, my insurance didn't take care of that. Like they want it to be taken care of. But if you're going to a restaurant or other places and getting these kind of services, if you're going to a CBD shop, you're not expecting your insurance to take care of it because you care about how do I feel and how do I look? All the products you mentioned touch on those two things. I mean, one, we could say it is some level of vanity for us, but health is directly correlated to some body components. And then the exact same thing with how I feel. Like there's a lot of things with mental health, with how your productivity at work, et cetera. They're all connected to those elements. And I'd love for you to tell us this, Kristen. How do we frame it so people think of when they come into a pharmacy or when they work with a pharmacy consultant or they come into a clinical setting, if we're offering other services, that those services don't get kind of lumped into the same gray, dull area that they're putting medications in?
Yeah, no, that's such a good point. And from my experience, it's all in how confident you are when you're having the conversation with somebody about the product. Something as simple as supplements, or an over-the-counter item. It doesn't have to be a supplement. Let's say you're not into supplements. Maybe it's the Tylenol. Maybe it's the dehumidifier that you have. Something along those lines. It's the confidence in how you talk about the product and the wording that you use. So as a pharmacist, when I was working in community pharmacy, and number one, stepping out into that OTC section is huge, because you're showing that you care about that person and you want to help them get what they came in to purchase in the first place. Nobody comes to just browse your OTC section because they want to see what you have there today. So asking the question of, what are you here for? Is there something that you're looking for? They're always looking for something. Very rarely are they not looking for anything. Yep. And then saying the words, I recommend, or the pharmacist recommends this product. That's another thing. And that's been super effective whenever I'm talking to people.
I want the Kristen Tallent evaluation of these two things that I've done at my little community pharmacy. And it was amazing how impactful they were. I did not study them analytically and with sales values, but knowing this anecdotally, my family started using for the boys, like a couple of gummies, like chewable multivitamin gummies. Everybody that came in, they all heard it from me and from my technician, how good they were, like the flavor of them, how good. We had them sell like hotcakes. Like we had to order them in all the time because everybody at the hospital wanted those exact same gummies. And we're all saying, I love that we are going to be able to use these gummies for my family because they taste good and they're recommended already. Do they taste better than any of the other gummies that are out there? I don't know, but they were good. And my family used them. So people jumped onto it. The other thing that we did, Kristen, which I wish I would have known you before with the adding lab services and point of care testing into this. But what we did is we made a family flu, cold, upper respiratory kit. And so instead of having all these like mixed products, because I'm always telling all my patients, clients, those mixed products can lead to more problems than benefit. And so what we would do is we would find individual ingredient products and then just list out like, here's what they're best used for, inside of a kind of compendia, so to speak. And then we gave those and sold them as kits, knocked the margins down a very fractional percentage on them to be like, you're getting a deal on this entire bundle, and sold them as a bundle. People loved those. Like, I mean, even the hospital administration was like, hey, we'll buy boxes for these and bows and et cetera to make them look more attractive because people are buying them. So anyway, wanted to get your thoughts on a couple of those ways that we can it's sometimes the wording that you're saying and the packaging can go such a long way.
It is. I love that you mentioned those things. Yeah. As soon as you start getting reviews on products, testimonials, that's essentially, word of mouth. Those things are great. I love that kit idea. We should spend next episode or one of the upcoming ones, we should talk about some ways you can make kits out of different pharmacy products.
Oh, I love it.
But I do like that. And I would say the last thing is giving them a pricing option, because, pricing is often the way people skirt away from things, which is totally fine. You're not going to sell the item to everybody. But if you can say to them, this is the one the pharmacist recommends, and if money is not an issue, this one is even a little bit better. Or, this is basic, but, if you really care about like your premium product, then this is the one that you want. So then that gives them the control to make the decision.
Yeah, I mean, I think what one of our viewers here, and if I'm pronouncing your name, I'm so sorry, Avi. But yes, love stepping out to the OTC. It's so true. And I think the one thing, Kristen, with like lab and point of care testing, just to give somebody a nugget before we jump off, is what you just mentioned about tiers is perfect, because it's like saying, hey, you can just get the test done and I can read you the results, or we can do that. Plus I can recommend supplements, or I can do the best thing. I can do that plus supplements, plus clinical review. And, being able to package those things together, I'm excited about next episode. So thanks everybody for tuning in. We will talk to you really soon, and you have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye-bye.